All right. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you all for being up here. And I just want to get started. Can you guys just kind of go down the line and give us a very quick overview of who you are and what your company does?
So go from.
Just go for it, Violet. Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Violet from Seed Studio. So Seed is the company behind Senscape and One Helium Hotspot. And we are a company with 14 years of experience in design, manufacture, and delivery of IoT devices, from wireless communication products to sensors and gateways, etc. And apart from the hardware, we also provide the dashboard and app to make sure it is easy for our customers to use the products easily. And with our partners, including Parley Labs and Embedded Works, we actually delivered products to more than 1 million developers and system integrators all over the world. And apart from the very technical and business part of it, we are also a firm believer of sustainable development goals. So we organize a lot of events and activities to support IoT for good. So that's about us.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hi everyone, honored to be here. Andy Doe from Embedded Works. We are a nearly 2-decade old distributor in integrated wireless technology. So we started our life helping folks design M2M back then, machine to machine. Now IoT, of course, is the buzzword. And over time, we evolved to becoming a solution provider. Today we have a tracking platform called Tracking for Less, which we've integrated a lot of the tracking devices onto the Helium network. We also have a sensor business called SensorWorks that not only tell you where things are at, but how things are doing. So with that, we've kind of gotten to this point where, as a solution provider, I say IoT means I own this or I own that, so we're going to help you own it, and that's what we do.
Hi, I'm Brian Buitong from Parley Labs. We are a distributor, value-added reseller, and IoT solutions provider. Our focus is helping our partners and our customers to go to market faster in both building the infrastructure and driving demand and usage on the network. So that means we kind of serve all parts of the value chain, and that's engineering and technical solutions for both of the networks.
Perfect.
Hey, I'm Neil. People know me as BFG Neil. I'm from TrackPack. We do asset tracking on the Helium network. We launched in January. We got some pretty big names onboarding for us this year that are doing some very large trials. That's basically it.
No, congratulations on the
Thank
launch. Yeah. Violet, I'm going to come back to you. Can you guys kind of tell us just what problems does Helium solve for your users?
I think the biggest problem that is solved is about how Helium has helped to lower the threshold of people to use the IoT devices or use LoRa in the actual world scenarios. Because in the past, when we talk about, hey, how about use LoRa, they say, oh, I need to buy a gateway, and then it seems it's a threshold for them. But now with the decentralized network, a lot of gateways are out there and coverage is all over there. So it's much easier for people to think about how I can use the network.
Yeah, great. Andy?
Helium was really an eye-opener for us. We've been in the telematics tracking business. Particularly 99% of our customers were cellular tracker, right? And back then we were offering $10 a month tracking, and that was a good deal. But when Helium came along, and based on the value and the network coverage, it was enough to get those customers that were on the fence who said, yeah, I'm not sure if I want a tracking device. And we came to them, well, how about we offer you $10 a year for connectivity? And that was just orders of magnitude in terms of the value saving. So that allowed us to open up a customer base that was either on the fence or customers that said, how can I lower my OpEx? So it was really nice.
Okay, Brian.
Yeah, similar. We noticed that it's allowed us to go and pilot with our customers much quicker. We could evaluate different solutions to see what the value truly is.
Yeah.
And it removes a lot of complexities in trying to prototype solutions.
Awesome.
Yeah, generally for us, Helium's enabled this tracking to exist. I mean, the companies that we've been speaking to, whenever they've tried to do this in the past, and they've been trying to do this for 6 years. 6 years on GSM, and every time they went to put something to market, it was always in the millions to, kind of roll this out. And now that network's there, they don't have to do any of that. They can just do a very small sensor and get their service live.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. Andy, I'm going to start with you on this one. So how did you start using Helium? You kind of said the problems that it solved, but when did you start using it, and were you evaluating any other technologies when you kind of landed on Helium?
Yeah, looking back, we kind of fell into Helium. I mean, as a nearly 2-decade distributor of wireless components, about 2 years ago, our RF antenna sales started blowing up, 900 megahertz antennas. And finally we said, excuse me, why are you buying so many? And they're like, oh, we're helium mining. What's that? And then that just kind of, blossomed into this wonderful thing with helium, and we just fell in love with the business model. And that really, to me, kind of made this, even pre-5G, made this concept of the fourth carrier, or 5 if you're counting Sprint. So yeah, that really was just a mind-blowing concept for us to be able to jump on a network truly IoT size.
Awesome. Violet, how about you? I think you have a good answer for this one.
Yeah, so at Seed, we actually have a lot of different products supporting like 4G, NB-IoT, etc. So we are, like when we tap into IoT devices for outdoor scenarios, we are thinking about mainly three of them. One is 4G, one is NB-IoT, and the other is LoRa. And when we learn about like the scenarios, we choose LoRa as the technology that's very suitable for outdoor environmental sensing. But when we learn about helium, it's like this is perfect alignment because there are a lot of coverage out there already, and then we have this rich line of sensors that can allow people to actually use them, and it's perfect match. So we begin to adopt it, and now it's taking off comparing to other technologies that we are developing.
Yeah. Great. All right, Neil, this one's for you. I'm a hotspot owner, all right?
Sure.
I want to get started with TrackPack. How can I deploy those use cases like around my house, my neighborhood, my city, something like that? How do I get started?
Yeah, that's the big thing with us. We want to enable other people to take this, what we've built, and use it and white label it. The big thing for us is that we can say that a tracker is good for your business, but unless you have that business insight and know which tracker's right, we will never have penetration into that market. So what we offer is full white label reseller services. That's including the app, including the web app, and a full API as well. So you can integrate into existing systems. And that's how you can get involved. You can start up a brand. You have that insider information and you know where trackers will do well. Come to us, talk to us, and we'll work out a package and put that live for you.
Awesome. Can you name like one of your most interesting kind of use cases right now?
Yeah, so the big one for us right now is that we've got a bike manufacturer that produces bikes in London, and they don't want to use it to find the bikes. They want to use it to know where the bikes are being used in city centres, where best to install more bikes, but also provide statistics like how many people are riding on the average month, some real futuristic kind of, look on how their bikes are used. So we're building up those case studies at the moment, and new hardware as well, so to make sure it fits on a bike. Trackers are quite small at the moment, but we want to make them smaller and we want to make them larger battery life. So we've gone into the hardware realm.
Awesome. Andy, what about you? Like, again, how can I get some, tracking for less embedded work solutions out there? And, I did some interviews with you yesterday and you had some really cool use cases. So can you maybe, talk about one?
Yeah, let me see. For tracking, I mean, some of the strange ones are, off the road one would be, beehive tracking. We've had farmers who wanted to track where their beehives, because bees these days are rented. You actually don't own them. And, we've had cases, for example, we have the porta potties. That's always a funny one to, track that for construction sites. But, generally anything of value, and whether it moves or doesn't move, but at the end of the day, it's being able to find it. And the Helium network is ubiquitous. And so for us, those are some of the fun things that we've come across.
All right. Yeah, great. Yeah. Violet, how about you?
I think one of the user cases that I have seen recently is actually about, the user cases of the that we have recently is the sensor that we have actually allowing people to only use 3 steps, and then can power it on and then use Bluetooth to pair it, and then the next step you can see the data immediately. So there will be like weather stations they can put into the backyard or into the community and see the data and share with the whole community about maybe what action they need to take based on the data.
Okay. And I think Neil, Andy, and Violet, you guys have some exhibits over there. Can people come check out some of these solutions?
Sure, yeah.
Perfect. All right. Awesome. Brian, so are you seeing like demand for some interesting use cases pop up? Like these guys, Andy's tracking porta potties and stuff, or beehives and things like that. But have you seen some like just demand you didn't think you'd see before for some use cases kind of show up?
Yeah, so I mean, we see the traditional stuff, which is requires integrators and stuff like that. What we're seeing, both from the manufacturer side and the consumer side, is a push for more just turn it on and working. And we're seeing really interesting use cases of the network, like Hive mappers who use the network in very different, unique ways. And even in the community, we're starting to see a lot of people kind of applying the network and using it in ways that just never have been thought of before because there was no network that was made available to them.
Yeah.
And working with a lot of our partners, there's a lot of experimentation and seeing like how else can it be used, and we're definitely seeing some interesting use cases.
Okay, very cool. Andy, what about you? I've done some interviews with you before.
Yeah.
You bring up a lot of really interesting use cases. Have you seen some growing demand in areas that
Definitely.
you didn't expect before?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking a lot about tracking, which is probably 60-70% of the use case demand, but we can't forget about sensors, because there's more sensors in this world than there are people, right? There are things to sense. And we've had, for example, we have a customer of ours who's similar to kind of a convenience store chain here in the East Coast, and for compliance, they need to know what the temperature of the food, the frozen foods are, because it's a compliance issue. They need to know how many times that frozen food door is open, and all of that is in compliance. So for that, they could either get another network, or they can use the network that's already there, which is Helium. Another story that I could share with you is, we work with the Alaskan Housing Authority, and for them, they got basically sued by a lady who said that the temperature in the water heater tanks were too hot. And they said, no, I don't think so. So they used a network, and with sensors, they would say, look at these charts, and charts don't lie. And so they were able to say, no, these are perfectly fine. You're just more sensitive.
Perfect. So we're being used to prove people wrong here. I like that. Yeah, great. Violet, what about you? With Seed, do you guys see a lot of things that, demand for things you weren't expecting?
Yeah, because we have a strong focus on environmental sensing, and recently, especially these past months, like the weather, like the climate seems to be very concerning, and then we got a lot of requests about how we might be able to provide some sensors for them to collect the environmental data, like micro climate data. So either it will be to use the dry in the air, like the humidity in the air, or like the temperature, etc., with the micro climate data, as well as the data existed out there to analyze the possibility of either maybe there might be a forest fire out there based on this kind of data. Or another thing is about with the gas data, they will be able to detect maybe with the accumulation of sulfur dioxide or carbon dioxide, there is a possibility there might be volcano eruption, etc. So these are a lot of things that we see that we can use technology with the Helium network, with the sensors, and then it will benefit the whole either this remote area or with the people who are living around that area, but we can help them with evacuation in an early stage or prevention.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I mean, I live on the West Coast, so wildfire detection is becoming more important every year. So yeah, those things are good to see. All right, Brian, so we're almost at 1 million hotspots now. The network continues to grow rapidly. What are you most looking forward to with Helium and IoT applications for the future?
One thing that we're focused on doing is trying to make it easier to use the network and adapt it, mostly. And we're really excited to be able to help our customers and help consumers be able to do that. So as we work to simplify a lot of the complexities out of the LoRaWAN traditional stuff, we're really excited to be able to help partners like TrackPack and others to go to market faster and actually bring true value and utilize the network at scale.
Awesome. Neil, what about you? Looking to the future, what are you super excited about?
Yeah, just seeing this technology used on large scales. It can solve some serious problems, but it can also change people's lives.
Yeah.
Monitoring things like food, so food crops are more efficient, and like you say, forest fires and things. I think the things that pay the most money are the focus at the moment, but when you start seeing things like forest fires and this technology grow there for good, that's what I'm most excited for.
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
see helium used for good.
Yeah, they can
change the world.
help
kind of
people
stuff.
in real life
And
kind of thing.
and it really is that simple. It can change lives.
Yeah.
We were talking to a use case in India where the boats would accidentally go into Sri Lanka's waters and they'd be arrested and the boats would be destroyed.
Oh, wow.
But if they had a helium tracker on board, they would know and get a notification when they're in international waters.
Yeah,
And that
yeah.
just changes people's lives, and it's that kind of story that I'd like to hear more of.
All right, so we're going to see you come up with that solution soon,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, hopefully.
All right, we'll keep an eye out for that one. Andy, what about you?
I'm actually excited about what's happening with the 5G movement, and my hope and vision that there will be a day where anyone can jump on and get free internet. So I don't know if many of you remember, there was a time Wi-Fi wasn't everywhere, right? So you had to go online and search for a cafe, and now it's ubiquitous. It's almost expected. So imagine a day where the 5G helium network is abound. You have client devices like a USB dongle. You're sitting in a park and you say, hey, I want to jump on this guy or gal's hotspot, and he or she will get comped for that use of their bandwidth, and you connect at pretty good range beyond Wi-Fi. So that's my hope and vision, is that the internet for all becomes truly real. And I've worked on smart city projects. We're doing the COVID CARES Act. The government gave lots of cities billions of dollars to bring internet to the people. And you've seen what helium's done for the city of San Jose. And during the pandemic, I was surprised to read an op-ed by our mayor who said 17,000 students in Silicon Valley or San Jose proper did not have internet. And that was, to me, unfathomable. So I see that day happening if this thing grows.
Yeah. Great. Violet, what about you?
So when Andy mentioned about pandemic, I have this vision about the widespread of technology and how it might be able to help, because we recently hosted a contest called IoT Into the Wild, and many of the community members submit their top ideas about what they want to do. And one of the participants wrote about he wants to collect the microclimate data, and then with that data and also existing data, so he might be able to predict the possibility of emergence of mosquito-borne diseases in a certain area. And it was usually for me, I think that kind of disease prevention or detection is very far, because it's really very require very specific expertise. But with this kind of technology available, it seems that this kind of knowledge or information can be accessible to people like us who doesn't have that kind of background. So this is something I can see as really bring this kind of information to us, so that we know better about what is happening out there, and then how we might be able to do something to prevent it or better cope with it. And another thing is about I love the community here at Helium, and then we actually have a vision about a community IoT. It's now you already have the coverage, and then if we have a lot of different nodes out there, and then if there's street light is not working, or maybe there's traffic, etc. But if we have enough sensor or data there, and then everyone have the phone, similar to the phone, but then we can be able to remind other people or even send an alert to someone who is in charge of repairing that, etc. Then it will be not just my smart home or my smart farm, but it's for the whole community.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I mean, a big part of my job is working with you all in the ecosystem, and I mean, it's one of my favorite parts is just to see all the all the awesome solutions that you guys are coming up with that all using helium, but it's really cool to see. So, thank you guys for doing all that stuff. We're talking about helium for good and helping people. That's great. I know we're kind of standing in the way of, people getting lunch in a minute, but do you guys want to do a really quick pitch of what you have to show people out there? And,
Okay. So
yeah, go for it, Violet.
Thank you. So, we have a booth over there with a lot of devices, including the Seed SenseCAP 5G hotspot, and also weather stations that you can use within a few steps and see the data on the Helium network. And with an AI vision sensor, so usually we talk about we couldn't send image to LoRaWAN network, but with that AI vision sensor, it has a camera, but it does not send the image. It has the machine learning on it, so it sends the result to the network only. Go there and check it out.
Yeah, we have a cool demo if you guys want to check out. We have a Wi-Fi sniffing LoRaWAN badge from our friends at CodePoint there, and we've integrated in our platform. And it actually worked better than GPS, because as you know, in New York City, Manhattan, there's these urban canyons, and there's that much sky, so no GPS. And I've compared it side by side, and my Wi-Fi sniffing badge, I'm walking by Starbucks, a bakery, it's picking up all of these, and I'm actually seeing more dots, through the Wi-Fi sniffing LoRaWAN than I am GPS. So pretty cool. I get to actually use it because I've been talking about it, and now actually show it. So come by.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Brian, people can come find you and talk, about solutions with Parley Labs and
yeah,
stuff
so we
like
don't
that,
have
right?
a booth, but there's a couple people from our team here, so they want to talk about 5G deployments, LoRaWAN deployments, or solutions and utilizing the network. You could just come talk to us and we'll be readily available.
Awesome. All right, Neil, what do you have to show us?
Yeah, just come and find me. I'll talk about sensors. I'll talk about trackers. I love talking about the Helium network. So
Everything,
I've got a
right?
couple with me. So if you want to
Perfect.
talk about it, come find me.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys very much for being out here with me. I appreciate it.